Thumbs up.
PBR never tasted so good.
Show it does. Wow. Hello and welcome to the Moon Underwater Pubcast. I'm Kelly Daniels.
And I am Steve Jones.
Here we are at headquarters.
We are. HQ. I feel like this is our home. We have new co-hosts outside.
We do.
We do.
We have a lot of, we always, co-hosts coming, co-hosts going. But
it's a cool place.
It is a cool place.
I do dig this place.
Me too.
Oh, and our mascot's gone from the windowsill. There's another one.
He left its wings.
Yeah.
So just a little souvenir.
Yeah. Yeah, well.
So what's going on today? Yeah.
Well, if you were listening to last week's, which apparently is going to drop sometime next year.
In the future.
Yeah. we can't talk about the fall colors that are clearly on the video.
Yeah, that's right.
It's going to be a little while.
Time is a funny space at the Moon Underwater, which is a make-believe pub after all. So
it is.
Time
this is a very real pub.
Is fluid. This is a bar.
It's a bar. Yeah.
I know our friends across the pond might not like us using the word pub too loosely, but on the other hand,
it's not a pub.
Let's just
it's a bar.
It's a public place. It's a public house.
Okay.
All right. So anyway, what are we doing today,
well,
Steve? It's a Steve
episode.
Day. Yeah. Why don't you tell us all about it?
So.
This highbrow kind of...
I always pick the highbrow stuff, right? So I was thinking back that I was like, man, it must be 25 years since the Seinfeld finale aired. And I don't know if you recall the general reaction when it
I wasn't paying that much attention, but I did get the vibe that people thought it wasn't... Yeah, that's right. I felt like people didn't like it.
Right.
It was disappointing. But then again, you do 9 seasons of 20-plus episodes per season.
Yeah.
How do you wrap that up?
How are you going to wrap it up?
Yeah, it's just... And maybe that's what we might talk about is what the hell were they going to do?
We're definitely talking about that.
Yeah.
And, I think it relates to... Well, it's not... our dystopian theme at all. I'm not even going to try to make that stretch.
I don't know. It's pretty... The world of Seinfeld is kind of a nihilistic or cynical. But it being a dystopia is too much, probably, I guess.
Right. That's like a solid C+ in your class if somebody came at you with that.
Yeah, I don't know if they could write a good enough paper for it. I'm like, all right, sure. Yeah.
I couldn't. I'm giving myself a C+ already because I wouldn't...
It's bullshit, but it's really well-crafted bullshit, and that's the whole humanities.
You can't wow them with wisdom, baffle them with bullshit.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
All right. You get away with it.
So what was your
Seinfeld experience?
Yeah, like what did you follow it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was really funny, but I just wasn't much of a TV watcher, and I definitely wasn't on a schedule or anything like that. When it was on, I was happy to see it. I did think it was more funny and more interesting than just about, Friends was kind of my generation, but I didn't love it really. It was just like, it's the same old stuff.
I've seen Friends. I probably have seen 3 episodes of Friends. Well, this is the most I will be willing to talk about Friends because I will probably insult most of our listening audience
because they like Friends.
All 13 of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
They might like Friends anyway. They're in our generation. And
so what you're saying is that the people that like our podcast have bad taste.
Absolutely. How could I not?
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, I listen to us. But,
there you go.
Yeah, I never was a Friends guy.
No, I thought.
But I got it. I
thought it was
pretty
like funny.
It was the next thing after Seinfeld, and I remember when the finale aired. That one I really didn't care.
Friends?
Friends.
I didn't know there was a finale. I thought.
Oh yeah.
Thought it was still going on or something. For all I knew.
Could be. Yeah.
No, the finale just happened recently, and
it was a few years ago.
No, it was on the news, right? It was the passing away of Chandler.
Oh boy,
that really was the finale of the show.
A little ketamine goes a long way.
Yeah, that's probably a.
And then the text messages
in poor taste. Making a joke about that.
Nothing else.
The text message about how the doctors were like
fleecing him.
Yeah, like, oh, this idiot will pay $2,000 for like $50
$50 worth of ketamine.
Yeah, ha.
Oh,
and now those guys are going to prison. So I don't know.
Yeah,
like, there is some karma there.
I guess I hadn't thought about. Man, he was in his 50s.
Yeah.
Shit.
Sad. And oh no, I'm getting things mixed up. The one television show, since I don't really have all that much to say about Seinfeld, I'll just tell a story about my favorite television show experience was when I lived in San Francisco, and I think I talked about this before, about living in a house full of heroin use. And before the heroin came in, we were just like alcoholics.
As one is in their 20s.
Yeah, I mean, it was a roommate situation. We didn't have a common room because the living room got turned into a bedroom so that we could save on rent.
Of course.
And then there was a little room where you're supposed to put the washing machine and dryer, but there was no washer and dryer.
It's also called a laundry room.
Laundry room,
yes,
thank you.
No problem.
And we had like a futon mattress, but not frame, that we kind of folded.
Yeah, you can't afford both.
No.
Yeah.
We kind of folded it with the back against the wall and then the other just a double fold.
Yeah.
And we all sat in there with this tiny television, and we would make mac and cheese and drink beer or wine or whatever, cheap alcohol.
Boxed wine?
Yeah, whatever. More like jug wine, I would think, in those days. And we would sit there and watch Beverly Hills 90210 and just make up our own dialogue. It was Mystery Science Theater with a bunch of like 20-something San Francisco kids.
We got to ding Mystery Science Theater. What a show.
Yeah, it was a great show.
And what a movie.
Yeah.
They did several follow-ups, too. We might have to talk about those.
Yeah, maybe that'll appear on the podcast.
I don't know how much there's to talk about.
Well, it's very meta because they're already talking about stuff, and then we're going to talk about them talking about
other stuff.
But that was the best TV experience with me because it was a social thing. It was like Rocky Horror Picture Show, but at home. And we never missed an episode. But it was always really like absolutely filthy, like, hey, Dylan, why don't you come over here and fuck me up the ass? You know, that kind of stuff. We were real saucy. Classy is a good way to put it. It was a time when having a lot of tattoos and facial piercings was like really edgy and new.
Yeah.
We're talking about the early 90s. Grunge was just starting to happen. Yeah. Jane's Addiction was a big band. And we were those kind of kids.
Yeah.
And so, of course, we were pretty profane.
Nice.
But it was great times, man.
Good.
Great times. So,
I think I was
Seinfeld
fairly wholesome at that point and following Seinfeld.
That's
mostly.
the beauty of this podcast.
Yeah.
All your stories are like, oh, no, I met a girl who said something about meth, and I ran out the back door and ran like 15 miles all the way home.
Oh, God, I wish it was that far. Yeah, that did happen. Oh, man.
My experience with that was different, but not going to get into
I was like,
too much.
What? I was like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
you heard about that. You know the song Mama Told Me Not to Come? It's Randy Newman. Mama told me not to come. Yeah, that ain't no way to have fun. Yeah. No. That's a great song. I love that song so much.
Oh.
So anyway, Seinfeld I like, though. I thought it was groundbreaking. It was interesting. It broke the mold of telling these neat little stories. It was just kind of like random everyday life, but all the people were just these cynical observers of it and had their own little moral codes, which is, I guess, will lead us to the last one. And I would just say why it wasn't well received. It's because it broke the mold of everything that made it. Because
the mold that it broke.
It did have a story.
Yes.
And the story wasn't all that great,
it wasn't great.
Really. But
I'm going to make
let's do it. Make the
So I will tell you it was good. And I'll tell you at first, this aired 26 years ago. I thought it was 25. It was May 14th, 1998. So my question for you is, where were you in 1998, Kelly Daniels?
Atlanta, Georgia. Yep. Hotlanta.
ATL. Oh, boy, nobody calls it
living
that,
right? Five Points.
Okay.
Little 5 Points. You don't know where that is.
I have no idea.
You're not cool, man. You're
I
a
never
bucket.
said I was
You're
cool.
up there in Alpharetta.
Way north.
Yeah. You're like, hey, man.
Alpharetta, Milton. Shout out to Milton.
All right,
People in Milton.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, that was a weak bell ring.
Yeah, felt
That's
very
from Milton. Felt
Milton-like.
Milton-y.
Yeah.
So I was in high school. I'd been dating this girl about a year. I was 2 weeks away from graduating.
Did you get to second base?
No comment. I'm keeping this classy. For the first time ever in the history of the podcast. And
That means no.
I was... We were together over a year. All right. And senioritis had kind of set in, but I was really excited to see this. And we were kind of in the middle of the breakup throes. I was going to go to school at North Central College in Naperville to stay close to her.
Yeah.
And as that
Naperville, North Central.
Represent.
Her.
Yeah. And we things were kind of deteriorating, and this was sort of a bright spot. Was that we were going to watch this, and as it turned out, I didn't go to North Central. The day before I graduated high school, about 2 years after, two weeks after this aired.
Yeah, you're a Hawkeye.
Changed my mind. My sister came home and was like, "Oh, well, things aren't going great. You should just come to school with me." And we're not super close, and we weren't then. And I was like, "Yeah, that is a great idea."
Yeah.
So I dropped everything and came to Iowa. So this was something I was really like.
Isn't
wanting.
North Central, does it have like a great books program? I think I heard that somewhere.
Sure.
You don't know.
I have no
You don't know.
idea. I didn't care.
That's
I know.
You don't read the Chronicle of Higher Education? Boy.
No.
Boy, Steve, this is...
and before meeting her, I was going to go to Indiana, which I'm sure you're going to say they have some other... they have a wonderful English department. Wow, didn't you know
No,
that? I did not know.
No, I didn't know that. No, I don't know anything about
They
it.
suck.
Yeah.
So I was really looking forward to this, and I can remember sitting down. I was with her family, sat down and watched it, and we're like super excited that it's going to start, and it goes, and we're like, okay, all right,
I'm going to go with it.
So it starts with basically the show's going to get picked up, right? The Seinfeld show.
So
from
it's the
Seinfeld.
meta thing, which they've done before,
They did.
right? There is a little of that. They did that one where there was where they had other actors who were going to play them for the show.
Very funny.
That was funny. And then there was another one where there was like another like alternate world of the
Bizarro
gang.
Jerry.
Yeah,
That's
that
the
one
episode.
had a little bit of that flavor, I guess. But of course, Larry David is the George, which is funny
Amazing.
to think about now. But when you're watching Seinfeld,
didn't know.
you didn't know this guy.
You didn't know who it was.
Yeah. And then he got his own show, and you're like, oh.
That's the guy.
And it's also really an interpretation, because he's not really like George.
No.
But
Who's my favor't character on the show?
Is he? Yeah.
Oh, my God. By leagues over anybody else.
Yeah, he's good. I don't know. I don't know if I have a favorite. Kramer is easy to like, but his shtick is one thing all the time.
Yeah. I mean, there's some other things that I think pop up.
Can I be an annoying little?
I wish you would.
Little bitch of an English professor.
I know no other way.
I don't like the whole one-dimensional thing because the phrase is actually two-dimensional.
Oh.
Because there's two dimensions on a plane, and
that's true.
What the character is two-dimensional because it's like a cartoon. It's flat.
He was okay.
Whereas
All
three
right.
dimensions is a fully fleshed person. One dimension doesn't really exist, doesn't have matter according to some astronomy class. It's a point.
Oh.
But it doesn't actually have matter. So when sports people say, well, he's one-dimensional and he's giving 110%, I just go, come on, man. Do
you want me to hand you my microphone so you can drop it?
No, I don't want to drop anything. I just didn't want to let it go.
We can't afford another microphone.
No,
so that's a good idea.
These things cost like $50.
They do.
And
yeah.
All right.
I like it though.
Okay,
I like
so we can move
I
on.
like the rant.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
It was all right.
Thank
It was a
you.
pleasant rant.
The person that I gave it to the hardest and best. Does that sound wrong?
Wow.
Should I reverse
What was her
that?
name?
All right. I don't even know if I want to go forward with this. I was a bit of a slip.
Yes, it was.
No. So
We're not cutting this.
My philosopher friend, who is Train.
There it is.
So philosophers, their whole life is like coming up with a word and defining it, and they write whole books on.
Do I know this philosopher?
Yes,
friend?
you do.
Oh, cool.
Tim Blozer,
Yeah,
Dr.
nice.
Blozer,
Great guy.
the Bloge.
Nobody calls him that.
Yeah, we do. We all do.
Really?
He's really picky about words and definitions, but he was saying one-dimensional, and then so I nailed him on it, and he wouldn't concede because, like, in his whole profession, it's like, be picky about words.
Yes.
But then if somebody catches him being loose, it's like, come on, lighten up, man.
Yeah.
Like, no, sorry, bro.
He's picky about his cars, too. I like that.
Yeah, he's picky.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we can move on. We can move on to go.
So you did not watch the finale when it came out.
I just watched it last night for the first time.
All right.
Your Honor.
So I allegedly. So yeah, we sat down. We're watching this. It starts out. They're picking up the show. If we go back to that. But it opens. The actual show opens like any other Seinfeld, right? There's the stand-up.
Yeah.
Then they go to Monk's, and George is complaining that he can't get attention from the waitress to get more ketchup. Right. And he's lamenting that there isn't enough ketchup, and what do you have to do to get attention? That will be important.
Yeah.
And they cut to they're with Elaine at some point, and she's got a cell phone. And
that was pretty painful to watch
because it was all staticky and she couldn't hear.
Well, the whole gag was cell phone etiquette, circa 1990, and none of it makes a bit of sense.
No, because they were super annoyed.
Yeah,
I forgot about.
You're
that.
not supposed to call people on your cell phone unless it's an emergency. Is sort of the vibe.
That was totally my dad.
And if you call from the street, that's just inherently rude.
Right. Because that's too loud.
Yeah, that's the
you
only
have to call
way.
From home.
Yeah, that's the only and the landline.
Landline.
It's somehow insulting.
Yes.
To call somebody.
How's it not?
And it just is weird to watch now. This little time capsule of a moment when cell phones. Do you want to go there?
I do know because I want to talk about it. There was something that there was a theory at some point somewhere that I read, and I don't know where it was, and I didn't bother to look it up this time.
Theory.
That Seinfeld couldn't really exist in a world of everyone having a cell phone.
Yeah. I don't know how, but that makes sense immediately because just too many of the things that happen are these annoyances.
Like you can't get everybody together. You don't know where they are. There's no text. There's no calls. It's like you only have the stuff at home and an answering machine. Maybe a beeper if you were a drug dealer. Which I was not a drug dealer, but I had a beeper for like a year. You
hung out with a bunch of meth heads, though, apparently.
I guess I did. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Not my fault.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a beeper?
No.
Oh, it was great.
You had a beeper?
Yeah, I did.
You weren't a drug dealer and you had a beeper.
And you know what? You know what it was great about it? It was super cheap. And you'd get a beep and it would say who it was. And if you were like, I don't feel like calling that person, you just didn't. That was it.
You didn't even have to text.
I was in a room with a phone. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great. So
I didn't have 50 cents to go to the local, phone. What are those things
50
called?
50 cents? The payphone?
Payphone.
Yeah, they were 25 cents.
But I think they went
and
to
then they were 35, maybe in fancy California. Chicago.
I just assumed they would be more, eventually. So they're 35 cents at
they were
the
25
height.
to 35
and then
cents.
they started
just
getting rid of them.
Then they had like collect call numbers you could dial, like an 800 number, and then you could charge it or whatever. Yeah. Oh
Good
my God,
days.
we're old.
And Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. That's how you time travel.
It is.
It is.
The phone booth.
That's where Superman changed into his super outfit. Did you know that?
I do.
Okay.
Quickly, real fast.
Yeah, it's a quick change artist.
Okay, so after we get, we find out that NBC's picked up this show. We find out that they get to take the NBC private plane anywhere in the world, right? And so they're trying to decide where to go, and they all pick up Paris. There's sort of a callback to something earlier in the episode while they're on the plane. George is, of course, doing what George and Larry David would do. It's like, this is it?
He complains about
It's not
that
nice enough.
he thought that the private plane would be nicer.
He wanted to know where Ted Danson's plane was.
Yeah, he thought that they had a better one. I thought, okay, I'm going to push back on the... Maybe we're not even in judgment zone yet. We're just in plain
I think we're
summarizing.
kind of laying it out, yeah.
But I felt like out of all of George's kind of like whininess of him as a character, this one seemed more forced, and I didn't believe it like I believed the more, because it was so, everything in this whole show, 9 seasons worth, is him getting annoyed because the waitress isn't giving him enough attention. It's
Right,
all
it's
these
not
small
a big
petty
thing.
things where he's actually in a private jet.
Could you argue that he is now like upgraded?
Yeah,
Right.
he's annoyed by great
bigger,
things.
great things now.
I didn't believe it quite as much, but I did like the whole when he was talking to them from the seat back.
Yeah.
That was great.
It's effeminate.
Yeah, it's
Elaine's
like, you're
annoyed.
annoying me. Turn around. And he's leaning over the back of the seat to
Yeah.
talk. And she goes, what's the matter? He goes, it's effeminate.
Right.
Guess what do you mean it's effeminate? She goes, I don't know. And I was thinking to myself, I don't know either, but there is something about it. That it was just good.
I was thinking about that interaction today while I was watching, because I watched it today. And yeah, I liked sort of the tension between them. She's really annoyed. And then there's sort of a callback to water that Kramer gets in his ear from an odd trip to the beach, where he's trying to get the water out of his ear, and
Yeah.
he falls through the cockpit door.
Yeah.
And then they almost crash.
But wait, let's go back to Kramer because I felt like this is just a little thing. It won't take long. But it's just, you can kind of see the writing. Kramer pulls up in his car and goes, hey, you want to go to the beach? It's a beautiful day. And they're like,
They're
no, I
all
don't.
wearing jackets.
Well, yeah, it's a crisp day, but he wants to
Right.
go to the beach. And he goes, there's something in the air. There's something in the air today. And he says it like 3 times,
Yeah.
which is 3 times is the magic number.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the invocation. And so I think the show is
You only
just...
have to say Beetlejuice twice.
Yeah, it's the show
Wait,
kind
no,
of...
3 it is 3
It's
times.
3.
Oh, my God.
But anyway, I think it's just it's hinting that we're in a kind of a fantasy zone because, yeah, everything that was the show up to that point is no longer in play anymore. So
Okay.
anyway, all right, now which I think excuses how far off the normal script it goes. So they're in there, and then Kramer is doing that thing. I do that, by the way.
Hopping on one foot and...
Yeah, I have a real condition called surfer ear.
Oh.
It's a real thing. And
I thought, for you, is it sponger ear?
yeah, maybe so. Nobody's going to understand that. And
got to go read Cloudbreak, California.
yeah, that's right. You'll learn all about it. It's from being out on the water in kind of the cold Pacific, and if you do that long enough, the inside of your ear closes off.
Oh, wonderful.
And once water gets in it, it won't come out. It's really hard to get it out.
That sounds horrible.
Well, I just have those drops. It's alcohol and glycerin.
Does it dry it out or what?
Yeah, it's fine. The glycerin is like an oil based, and the drops are alcohol, and they dry. It dries the water out.
No, that's what I mean.
But it doesn't dry it. It doesn't. It's fine. What you have to put it in and let it sit there for 5 minutes while you're in your side, and then you rinse it out. And that's what was bothering me about Kramer. He needed to go to Walgreens to get some drops, man.
Some swimming.
But I do that jumping up and down, and it does drive you crazy.
Yes, it does.
And so,
I hate having water in my
yeah,
ears.
and so he falls into the cockpit pre 9/11.
Yeah, the door just opens. It's like a saloon door.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not.
And then he knocks into them, and then they
maybe they don't ever say that it was really his fault.
Yeah.
But my favorite part is they think they're crashing, and George has to admit that he cheated in the contest, and Jerry does only what Jerry can do on the response, which is, great, I won.
as they're about to die.
Yeah, like they're still not, they don't, and then it's him and Elaine start Jerry and Elaine start kind of going back and forth. I got to tell you something. No, I have to tell you something. No, wait, me first.
But it's also that exchange is foreshadowed in the pitch room when they get their. They say, "Oh, this Jerry and Elaine, they got to get together. They got to get married or something." And George is like, "Oh no, that's not right." They're like, "God,
what do you know? Maybe we just not do the show at all."
Yeah, and he goes, "Oh no, I like them getting together. That's a great idea."
Right.
And yeah,
and so it almost happens.
Yeah,
and then the plane gets righted, but they have to land, and they end up in Latham, Massachusetts, where they're just going to wait a couple hours. Jerry's hoping to get another plane.
It's
maybe
small town America, where everybody's wholesome,
right?
As opposed to
the New Yorkers,
the big city where everybody's just a terrible monster.
And these are the 4 worst people on the planet. Right?
That's what they say, although that's kind of another bone to pick. Almost everybody they deal with is at least as bad. The Soup Nazi is terrible.
Oh, he's great.
Both in the Soup Nazi episode and in this one. Like they're the people that they wrong are also just as selfish and
the Soup Nazi was just serious. I would say.
He had standards, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was also Spanish. I don't think my wife knows that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He went to Argentina because they ruined his...
I believe he's Spanish.
Somebody
correct me on that. The guys at the Moon Underwater Pubcast.
You know what? He had to go to Argentina when his business failed, right?
Yes.
What's the significance of Argentina for a Nazi?
Well...
That's where all the Nazis went to hide.
Kind of funny. Oh, wow. That's a pretty good callback there.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway.
So they end up in this town. There's a large guy getting carjacked, and they're filming it, making fun of him. And they are arrested for...
I felt like that was worse than they usually are. I feel like the episode was just breaking their character. Like, they were pretty bad, but I never saw them quite that bad.
But see, I think that's why it's the finale. It's the next level.
They're just being even crueler.
Yeah.
Because they're basically self-absorbed and self-centered.
Yeah.
But they're not malicious, really. And they'll laugh at people, but this one was pretty egregious in a way that I didn't...
Do you have a favorite Seinfeld episode? I'm asking because I think that there's something rather egregious.
You tell me. I can't think of one.
My favorite is The Voice. And it's season 8 or 9.
Yeah.
And Kramer has an intern, Darren, for Kramerica Industries. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah. He just Kramer likes to tell him what to do. That kind of thing.
Darren's like, we're going to make the dream happen for Kramerica. And they go to Columbia or NYU. And they're talking to the dean about the things that Darren's been working on, and she goes, she's like organizing this, doing that, mending chicken wire. She goes, as far as I can tell, Kramerica Industries is nothing more than a solitary man whose apartment may or may not contain a chicken. And the episode revolves around Jerry deciding he's come up with this voice for his girlfriend's stomach, and he falls in love with the voice. She finds out about the voice. He has to make a decision between her or the voice, and he chooses the voice.
Of course.
And it's one of those okay, he's fairly terrible, right? Like he's
shallow.
He's very shallow. And then the friends
they care about looks so much.
But they come back and they're like, "Really? You chose the voice over the girl?" He gets back with the girl. Something happens in the episode. If you have not seen it, watch it.
All right.
And then once they do break up, then the voice comes back, and they're like, I love having it back, And so they're just extra shallow. So I felt like this takes all of that to another level.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm buying it. So this guy gets mugged, and they're just making fun of his weight.
Right.
The whole time, and they videotape it.
Right. Best part about mugging somebody who's fat is the getaway, right? That's what Elaine says.
Yeah, they can't chase him. And then George says, doing him a favor, he won't have any more money for food.
Right.
And
it was funny. And so I remember watching it being like, okay, this is a little, this is 18-year-old me going, okay, so far this is weird. And then they get arrested for violating the Good Samaritan law of Latham, Massachusetts.
What? Okay, I forgot this part. The Good Samaritan law is new in that it was created for a particular reason.
Well, it had started in France, and they had modeled the law after that.
But
I don't remember what
was that
exactly
the joke
said.
because they were going to France and they.
Oh, maybe.
I thought that there was some kind of significance
Could have
to
been.
how the law. Okay. So they have this law where you can be arrested for not doing something, rather than doing something.
And they get hauled into jail. They're put in jail. All four of them in the same cell.
It's very Mayberry,
Yeah.
the whole thing, and the judge, the town, the jury, the cop. They're all just these like wholesome, middle American types,
and they're looking at these New Yorkers.
Oh, they don't like them.
They don't like them.
Yeah. And so they're going to get railroaded by the yokels.
So they start on the show is then a trial where they bring in all of numerous previous let's say guest stars and people who they had maybe wronged over the previous 8.5 seasons.
Yeah.
And
Newman is watching it, literally eating popcorn, and
because Geraldo is reporting on it.
Yeah,
it's a good cameo.
Yeah, it's good.
But it kind of turns into a clip show, and that is where they lost me in 1998. The clip show part was like, really? Like, come on.
That is what they did.
But now
the lawyer was good though.
Oh, Jackie Childs is always good.
He was
Are you
great.
kidding? I mean, that's their
He's like,
Johnny
"What?"
Cochran. Like it's so good.
He's given these little speeches. Anyway, I can't. I won't try to imitate him.
I wish I had some lines.
If I would have worked it out, we should. We should work harder on our podcast.
Let's just come back dressed exactly like this.
Yeah.
At around this same time tomorrow.
Yeah.
And we'll just pretend like we'll just cut it in. We said we can't cut anything out. But we didn't. We never said we couldn't add stuff.
That's
later.
right. We can.
I know. We'll come dressed tomorrow. I'll be shaved. That'd be great.
So, we'll have the mugs instead of the pint glasses.
Right.
They'll just sort of appear.
I like the pint glasses today.
Yeah, I know.
I do kind of prefer that.
This bartender guy, he's got a special burger too that only he makes.
Whoa!
It's like got jalapenos on it.
I can't do that. I love spicy stuff, but
it doesn't love you.
No, and I just bought the ticket. I'm going to India, November 1st to the 14th. I'm pumped.
All right.
But I'm also really scared for spicy food.
Yeah.
Because I'm just going to be up all the time with jet lag and heartburn.
Every fiber of every cell in my body and my brain is making me not do an Indian accent. Just so.
Probably good.
Just so you know.
It's good.
Just
good.
Well, if I were good at it, I would do it anyway.
Well.
But the bat...
Even
Indian
Hank
accent,
Azaria stopped.
I know.
Apu,
he
right?
was good at it.
He was very good.
He could have kept doing it. He decided to let himself get canceled and then didn't fight back.
Didn't uncancel.
He apologized his way through it. He's like the only
Really?
person that... Oh, yeah. He apologized so deeply, and he went to like classes, and he quit drinking.
Oh,
it doesn't even seem like
we're not going to that length.
He didn't. Even, I don't even think he was like a heavy drinker. It was just like he was 2 glasses of wine, and then he would be intemperate and say things.
What
he didn't.
Pansy.
Yeah, that's what I got out of the whole thing. I was like, wow, man. All respect for you.
Gone.
Not that I really even knew you existed, but now I really don't.
But he's been in a few movies. He was pretty good in those.
Oh yeah, he was pretty good.
Yeah.
And anyway,
not anymore.
Yeah, I'm going to cancel him.
I've canceled him.
So you
are canceled.
The Moon Underwater, a pubcast with Kelly Daniels and Steve Jones.
Not the other one. No. They did not cancel you. The really popular one. They didn't cancel you. We
are canceling you.
You can come on here and defend yourself.
Oh yeah,
from our cancellation.
If you've got the guts.
He doesn't.
No,
of course not.
We're so good old Hank.
Yep. I love that we dinged him. All right. So I'm going to make I will make the argument for why this was good.
All right. Let's hear it.
Because what it did, so what Seinfeld did in these other episodes were there were these converging stories, right? So this is not my theory. This is the Craig Jones theory of Seinfeld, and it is that there's sort of a Dickensian thing going on where all loose ends come together at the end of something and they tie off. So there's
Dickensian?
Yeah.
Where'd you come up with that kind of... Oh, this Greg guy.
This is my dad.
Oh!
Craig Jones theory.
I didn't know your dad. I thought your dad was just your dad. That's the only way.
He does also... He
Have
had
a
a name.
name.
Well,
Yeah.
he doesn't have it anymore, I don't think. Do you still have it after your dad? I would ask him if I could, but I can't.
That's kind of philosophical and metaphysical, but also just...
I think had.
I think it is still... Mark Twain is still Mark Twain, right?
Right, but does he have that name, or did he have that name? Did he, or does he?
There is something called the literary what the hell is it called? The literary present.
Okay.
Where if you're talking about, like, if you're writing a literature paper and you're talking about, like,
which we clearly are here,
Macbeth or something, you use the present tense instead of the past because he lasts forever. Like, because he's in literature.
Wow.
Not really the author, but, like, so you say Macbeth believes that blah blah blah. So I'm taking
Jones
us away from
was a big Seinfeld fan, huge.
All right,
okay, and was very into the fact, and big Dickens fan, incidentally. I know.
I thought you were going to say something else.
Okay.
No, you said.
And then
say the beginning of that again. Okay. You did get
go
it.
where you're going.
Yes.
Okay. And I was trying to avoid it.
You just wanted to keep
going.
Yeah,
I was going to keep talking.
And I didn't want to keep going. I wanted to stop, rewind,
and focus on Dickens. Yeah.
Okay.
And so how everything kind of ties together.
Big
Dickens. Big Dickens fan. You can't take us anywhere. So he would always notice, oh, that's from the beginning over here. That's all of a sudden all these things come together at the end, and those are very much Larry David episodes that do this. So one of those would be The Voice, my episode. There's other ones that do that, but the really good ones typically are Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld written. And so that's what this is. This is now we have the bigger picture, and it's all coming back together, and they're tying it off, right? And my favorite part of the episode, and it took me forever to realize, maybe it was the last time I saw it, and maybe not today, but because I would always skip it. I was like, forget it, I can't do it. And I watched it a couple weeks ago, and I was like, wait a minute, this is true to the rest of the series. This is good, and I've got other questions about it, but I was watching it and thinking, okay, we're tying off all these loose ends, and then they show him in the jail, and George is complaining, just like at the beginning of the episode, about not being able to get any ketchup. Yeah. And it's brilliant.
It wouldn't kill him. Kill him to check on us.
Yeah, to check on us, just like you said about the waitress.
Yeah. So he's the same.
He's the same.
This is a story. So that is one thing that's great about Seinfeld is that, and I believe they said that, it's about nothing. That's the big...
multiple times, right?
Things they say that. But there's the characters don't change, and there's no moral or growth or anything. Nobody ever learns anything.
They're was supposed to be poking fun, I think, at regular sitcoms of that time where it was there's a lesson. There was never a lesson.
You transform your character every week in a half an hour.
And they just never did.
Yeah.
With Seinfeld. It was great.
Yeah.
That's what made it.
Yeah.
And I remember that from my sophomore year English class, and we had a teacher, Mr. Munt, who was like, they're having a go at the other sitcoms. None of these people aren't getting better every week.
Yeah.
in 30 minutes, they're still as despicable as they started.
No,
And
that was really refreshing. It
was
really
great.
was. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they didn't change from this either, even though it's the last episode.
Right.
And they're going to jail
If anything,
for a
worse.
year.
Yeah. And we know then at the end, so at the end, Jerry's doing stand-up in prison.
Yeah.
And he hasn't changed because that's how the show would end. At the beginning was he was on a stage. Well, he's on a stage, but he's in prison. And so for me,
I think that's good.
Looking back at it, I was like, man, I was so disappointed. But I didn't know how, like I was expecting this show was so good. Up through now, this is going to be amazing. Yeah. Now I don't think it's like best finale ever. I don't, but I wanted to get. It's not the worst either because it shows up on worst lists. So, for TV shows, best finale ever. What is it?
Oh, for me?
Yeah, I got a couple arguments for mine.
Just say it. I don't know, man. I'm not.
You don't TV.
I mean, I have throughout my life.
You're too highbrow for TV.
I've never watched so I do watch Netflix series. But that's like 4 seasons, 5 at the most in each.
That's okay.
And so I have some. There was one thing I wanted to talk about, or I thought of when I was watching this, and they're not really comparable, but I think is a really underrated kind of HBO show is Barry.
Oh, it's a good
Bill
show.
Hader.
Yeah,
I thought it was more than good, and I know it's usually seen as it's good. But I don't see it up there with Breaking Bad and stuff, and I do think it is absolutely brilliant.
I think it's funnier than Breaking Bad, which I think was a little more serious, but also funny.
I thought this one got pretty serious. What I loved about Barry is at the end, the last season is so wildly different from everything that came up.
Okay.
There was 4 seasons where it was like funny and wacky, and it was all crime. And they were doing this stuff, and he was killing people because he. Maybe listeners don't know what we're talking about, but the last season gets just completely
goes
bleak
off the rails
as fuck.
Oh wow!
It gets really dark because 8 years passes.
Okay.
Where they do all the crimes, and then they escape into kind of, like a self-witness protection kind of anonymity.
Right.
And then, so the first 4 seasons are the hyper kind of like, it's fun to break the law. It's exciting to do violence. But then the last season is the consequence of that. And it is not fun. It's not funny. And it's just dark. But it's very, very satisfying. Anyway, so let's get back to
okay.
What are your finales that you like?
Well, so I did a little research. Seinfeld, looking back, GQ had asked him, like, do you have any, what do you think you would have done differently? He's like, I don't know. And I didn't love it, but would I have done anything differently? No, I did it the way I did it because I did it that way. Yeah. And I liked it when I did it. So that's it, which is, I think, a fair answer.
Yeah.
And his was, and I never watched the show, Mad Men. He was like, Mad Men finale was fantastic.
I haven't seen the finale. I did watch a number of episodes, and I thought it was pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, John Hamm, you can watch him watch paint dry, right?
I guess.
He's a good-looking guy.
He was good.
Yeah.
Good looking.
All right, so for me, top of my list.
They say he doesn't wear underwear. You can see his hog through those, even those loose. No, I've heard that.
Like you said hog. You're the second person I've known in my life to use the word hog.
Yeah, well.
Nice.
So,
with the
fun to watch.
Like the linen pants.
Just, whatever, Yeah.
I wasn't looking for it, but I'll have to go back and I've seen a few episodes.
Yeah.
But I didn't get hooked.
Start looking at his crotch. It's entertaining.
Well, to go to a completely different one, King of the Hill.
Oh, yeah.
What a great finale. And
I don't think I've seen the finale of that one. I need to watch finales.
Okay. Do you want to know why you maybe haven't seen the finale?
Why?
Because when asked about how it was going to end, because they did not get renewed, Mike Judge said, the show started as 4 guys in an alley drinking beer. The show ends as 4 guys in an alley drinking beer. There is no finale. There isn't anything special. Then the fans went crazy.
Yeah.
That they wanted another season and got another one. So they didn't do a finale that year.
Yeah.
And they came back and they ended that year and that season, 4 guys in an alley drinking beer. There was nothing different about the episode.
I like it.
I like that.
Me too.
But Mike Judge also had done that with, one that we might have to talk about at some point. That's Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah.
I was a connoisseur.
Oh, really?
I'm sure that surprises you.
No. But I will say I'm not a connoisseur because I didn't watch it all the way through, but I watched it early, and I'll tell you how early.
Oh, Liquid Television.
No, earlier.
Oh.
Spike and Mike's Animation Festival.
Wow, that's way early.
It was something that would go around. I don't know if it toured nationally, but they would show up in California, Orange County, and it was just, I was into it.
Yeah.
And you would go to this big theater, and they would just show all these animation. It was, it was kind of pre-Liquid Television. That was what that became. But Beavis and Butthead, there was a bunch of them that weren't that great, and you just forgot. It was a festival.
Beavis and Butthead's memorable.
But that one stood out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a surprise when that became a big hit.
And it started moving up, and
yeah.
And they've continued. There are new episodes.
This is our second time talking about animation, though, Cutting Edge, because our other episode about Brad Neely,
Professor Brothers.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
He's that same kind of
it's
kind
like
of a
that.
guy.
Yeah.
Just like doing weird stuff with animation.
Yeah.
And inexpensive, and so.
It's fun.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, so.
Mike Judge is great. Yeah.
So, I got another one, and there was one that I was going to include that, I don't know, I thought it ended really well, but I heard a rumor today that's, don't look at the calendar when this drops, because it's going to be like, that's already confirmed. There is alleged confirmation that Ted Lasso is starting up again. And the finale of Ted Lasso was mind-blowingly good.
All right.
And it was 3 seasons, 3 seasons, and the end of the 3rd season was like, wow. They're going to leave it there. That's it. They're never coming back. That was fantastic. And I really liked that episode. I liked that being the stopping point, but I'm a big enough fan that I'm like, I'm really happy if I get another season.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
You want more?
Okay, so there is a trio that I would say had 2 good farewells, and that is the original, maybe not original cast from Top Gear and the Grand Tour, which is Richard Hammond, James May, and Jeremy Clarkson. Nice. I didn't bother to ding each one individually.
All right. Take it.
They were on.
They're going to feel insulted.
They're canceled too. And come on and defend yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come on.
If you got a problem with it,
Steve you
will
fly out
kick
here.
Your ass.
I will have Kelly kick your ass.
Yeah.
He's even got a girl's name.
Yeah.
So I will make sure.
Just the humiliation will be that much keener
right.
from our perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Keener. I like that. That's because they're English. So.
Oh yeah.
So they were invited to leave the BBC after Clarkson assaulted a producer while drunk somewhere. He punched him in the face.
Oh.
And so
I want to hang out with these lads.
Oh God, he'd be great. Invited to leave.
Uncanceled.
And
uncanceled.
Definitely uncanceled that one. And the other 2 went with him after he was fired. And they received, for production and everything, but also for pay, $300 million for 3 seasons of basically what we used to call Top Gear Amazon. It's a car show. It's a great show. These are petrol heads, as they say in England land. And
Gearheads, we say.
Gearheads,
right?
yeah.
Is that what we say?
Yeah. And
we
Americans, U.S. Americans say gearhead.
Yeah.
And they did a couple seasons
Not
of
Mexican Americans or
no
Canadian.
No, just U.S. Americans.
Canada is part of
Canada. think that's Canadian Pacific. The timing.
Canadian Pacific Railroad just roared.
You know what? It is 5:10, and I think you knew. I saw you looking at your watch.
I planned the whole thing out.
Yeah. Well, so they did a send off for the show first, and they were still going to stick around and do specials. And the send off for the show was in season 3. They had, it was 2 or 3. They had a funeral for a Ford, and at the end of the show, at least one of the presenters was crying, saying, "It's not just this Ford that's dying; it's this show. We're not doing this anymore."
Oh no!
But we're still going to do the adventures that we do. We're going to make some movies. They would basically go all over the world and buy ridiculous cars and do crazy shit in them, and it just ended 3 weeks ago. So turn back your clock, please, to early October. If you're listening to this sometime in
the future,
July. I don't know when this is going to drop. But the Grand Tour...
We're like 6 years in advance right now. So, So
I feel pretty good about that.
Oh, yeah. No, we'll die, and there'll be like a decade's worth of material that'll all be scheduled up.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's when we get really popular.
It'll make... Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Dying always helps.
Dying does always help.
Yeah. Hey, I got some stuff. Do you want to...
Well, I was going to say the last episode of the Grand Tour was... amazing. And the last episode of the specials was amazing.
It's hard to come up with endings, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. In writing, we use the metaphor of gymnastics, where sometimes you stick the ending, and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
And if a gymnast does this amazing thing, and then they land, and then they step back one, it's still a great thing. Maybe they get a point off or whatever that is.
Right.
But that sticking the ending is a special thing, and it happens sometimes, and it doesn't happen other times. And I feel like there's the muses just like smile on you sometimes, and sometimes they don't, because I don't know that you can always just force it or think your way through it. It either comes together, but anyway, I don't know.
Okay, so you said you had some stuff.
I do have some stuff, and this is going to be...
it looks like a random collection of notes.
This comes from... I don't want you looking.
You're going to give me a quiz?
You're going to be looking at my stuff, bro.
Trying.
No, this is a Instagram account that I follow.
Ooh.
And it's called Modern Seinfeld IG.
Oh.
IG stands for Instagram.
I guess. Oh, wait. What?
And what they do is they just come up with... Seinfeld plots.
Oh.
And they just write them. And so I want you to give...
ChatGPT write them.
You think so?
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe.
I'm going to try it later.
I don't think so. You can see. Maybe they do now, but it's been going on for a while. I'm going to read through some of them. Just give me thumbs up or thumbs down.
All right. I like the dramatic pause for putting on the glasses. That's what that was.
Here's just one.
Okay.
Jerry gets paranoid about his girlfriend's past when her iPhone automatically connects to the Wi-Fi at Newman's apartment.
Love it.
Yeah. All right.
That's a big thumbs up.
All right. Here's another one. Jerry dates a woman who cracks her neck every time she sits down. George discovers a typo on Monk's menu and demands his meal be free.
Monk's is the coffee shop.
Yes.
Is what they call it. Yes.
Kramer finds an old bassoon on the street and through a series of misunderstandings winds up a member of the New York Philharmonic. Elaine...
So far, is this the same episode?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
They're all doing
this is fucking amazing.
Elaine gets an absolutely perfect haircut, then goes to great lengths to preserve it. That's an episode.
That's fantastic.
See, it's good stuff, huh?
Yeah.
Here's another one.
I'm going to start following this.
Jerry learns that he has a cult following at NYU, but he's not sure if they like him ironically. Elaine dates a food critic who keeps taking her to terrible restaurants. George discovers his head is a perfect sphere. Kramer falls down a manhole and learns a whole new way to travel around New York City.
I like that one the least.
Okay.
But the other, okay.
There's a whole bunch more. I don't know how many you want to do.
Let's go. Let's go 2 more.
Okay.
Do
I'm
you have
just going to
some
pick a
favorites?
short one. This is random.
Okay. I like that you didn't even read them. You just brought it. I asked, which one's your favorite? You're like, a random one. A random one's my favorite.
My favorite. Nah, I don't know if I. Let's see. All right. Yeah, no, I don't. Here's
He's
one.
scanning them now. Yeah.
At a barbecue, George passes over a black man when offering sunblock.
Oh.
Jerry's surfer girlfriend won't stop doing the hang loose sign.
Oh.
Elaine's boyfriend won't leave the grill. He is watching, not cooking. Kramer gets in an intense squirt gun war with children. That was not that great.
I mean, that's like the one. Like
the George one is funny, though.
It's great.
Just
yeah.
all right.
Uncomfortable, awkward. Yeah.
All right, one more.
All right.
This is random. George, it's just because it's short. George, Elaine, and Kramer make a bet. All of them will avoid Jerry until... this is not that good. George drops his phone and gets down on his knees to find it. His girlfriend walks into the room and thinks he's about to propose, so she says, absolutely not. George is insulted and is determined to get her to change her mind, even though he doesn't want to marry her.
I like that. Those are pretty accurate.
They just show up every week. There's a new one, and it's,
wow.
I think it's
shout out to them.
Oh yeah, they're funny.
Yeah. All right. Well, I feel like it's better than I remember.
Yeah.
Because you got to think about it with and that being said, Craig Jones hated this episode. And I'm like, yeah, but they're tying it all. I was like, it's terrible.
You're trying to undo your father's legacy, is what you're saying.
And he's like, no, it's bad.
Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker,
totally.
except maybe flipped.
Right.
You're a young Anakin.
Very.
And
even more handsome.
Yes.
Yeah, clearly.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So
I got nothing else, man.
Yeah, same here. I
enjoyed this one. You didn't have anything to begin with. Yeah. That's what you started
I
with.
did. I started and ended with it.
I had a couple pages of notes.
Yeah. Good job, man.
I figured this was a Steve episode.
It is a Steve.
I had to drive it.
Yeah. You had to drive it, and you're prepared.
I am.
That's how you do it.
All right, team.
Well, what the heck, man?
We're almost out of beer anyway.
We are. All right.
Sadly.
See y'all. Catch y'all later.
If only there was a way to get more beer.
Yeah.
There isn't.
It won't happen.
Yeah, no. Yeah, they're paying. You know what? They could check in every once in a while.
They really could.
Come on, it's a throwback. It's a callback.
Callback.
Sorry.
That's what they say in the biz.
I know. I'm in the biz.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, people.